Hello my loves, welcome back to Zeke's Lunchbox. Happy New Year, happy 2021. Happy 2021? Is it happy? It's a bit wild. I'm sure lots of people are very exhausted and trying to recharge and trying to think what their next steps are in such a tumultuous, insane time. I'm hoping this video really helps you guys, helps you kind of really plant the seeds of what your next move should be, or maybe even trying to retrain your mindset when it comes to making art in 2021. This video is more for people who want to take their art a little bit more seriously, maybe start getting a bit more of an Instagram following, maybe even taking that next step to becoming an artist full-time or even part-time. So before we head into the video, from now on I'm going to try and ask you guys, pop a question down below and I will answer it in the next video. I just want to give you guys a little taster of what it's like to be on my Patreon, because I will be needing to grow that as much as possible this year, just to keep this channel afloat and keep the art career moving and pumping. All right, you guys, let's head into the video. Like and subscribe if any of these are useful to you, and ask a question as well about art or art making. Let's get into it. Before I get into all of this advice are things that I wish I had known, or things that I really wish I made more of a habit to do earlier on in my career when it comes to art making. I feel like that would have made a really big difference for my productivity and just retraining my mind to do a lot more positive things and be a lot more productive, not in terms of like creating more work, but productive and just being easier on myself. So I think all of these are, you know, kind of required for all levels. So that being said, some ways that I feel like I've relieved stress and taken a lot of the mental load off my shoulders is 1, make a plan and stick to it. And by this, I mean, when it comes to making art, I think we have a tendency to make it very ephemeral and kind of laissez-faire, and making it like you're just making it all up on the spot. And half the time we are, and that is half the time really fun, especially when you're trying to be experimental or really trying to let loose. I'm not talking about the actual art making process. I mean, by making a plan, I very specifically mean more the workflow. If you make a plan, what you want to accomplish in the year, start breaking it down and then break it down further into weekly and then even hourly tasks. An example for that is my goals for this year are to finish the tarot card deck and do the Kickstarter and send that all out. Very, very tight, specific plan. That being said, I have an X amount of cards that I need to create further in order to finish the deck, and I've timed that out to be an average of about 3 to 4 cards a week. I know, it's very intense. So now that I know that I need to make 3 or 4 cards a week, I have to schedule in and time how long it takes me to make a card. Generally with the minor arcanas, I've been able to pump them out. About 1 card can be roughly finished in 2 days. That's just the process that I like to take, because I like to have a sleep over the night and have a look and reassess things. That's just the process that I have to be realistic about and schedule that in. So, you know, I will have my designated days where I have to draw. If I flake on that, then I'm really not going to meet my goals. So when I say make a plan and stick to it, making a plan is the easy part, sticking to it is hard. The second habit/tip that I want you guys to start thinking about and start enacting is stop comparing yourself and your journey to others. This gets said a lot in these style of videos. It is really true. Comparing yourself and beating yourself up for your lack of accomplishments is a form of self-sabotage. So self-sabotage is really just a complicated way of your brain telling you that you are not worthy of success, you're not worthy of happiness. Very specifically talk about this a lot on Patreon, because a lot of people and a lot of artists gravitate to art because they either have anxiety or depression, and I think that needs to be handled first and foremost. It's not necessarily a quick solution, it's more just giving you tools in order to enact and actually tackle what you have to work on. But that sort of self-negative talk can be possibly a sign of anxiety and depression. So try and quit comparing yourself, quit going online and getting angry about what other people have, and just just be thankful and happy about your journey and your accomplishments. I think a lot of the time artists never spend a moment reflecting and enjoying what they have achieved. So tip number 2, it's quite essential. It's a very hard one to enact, but if I had done that years ago, who knows where I would be right now. Generally, when I get asked advice for art, people have very complicated thoughts about art making, you know, reasons why they can't do this or that. And a lot of the time to me, it sounds like their lives are very bloated and complicated and really heavy. Balance is key. We need, as a community and an art community, we need to stop romanticizing depression and the poor, lonely artist that died alone. We do not need to live like that anymore. We need to seriously stop. This is not synonymous for making great art. There are plenty of high-functioning people who have very big careers who don't have to live, you know, poor and old and sad and alone. Balance is really important. This is something I wish I did more of years ago. I spent and sacrificed my whole 20s to have a career and to really work and hone my craft. I have to say, looking back, it wasn't worth it. So I want you guys going forward to not isolate. I know it's very hard in a pandemic, but try not to isolate yourself. Try to not work 12 hours a day and just sit there in one position and paint all day. It's really, really unhealthy. You're going to burn out. You're going to feel exhausted. And then you're also going to start training your mind to think that making art is exhausting and strenuous and stressful. I can't stress this enough. Please, please, let's all strive for more balance. If you're going to work, you're allowed to go for a walk and move your body. If you are working a lot, take a break and actually socialize and have fun and spend some time doing the things that you enjoy that aren't work related. Lesson 3, balance is key. Tip/habit number 4, start setting realistic goals. This is something that I've been doing incorrectly for years. I would have insane goals, mostly because I didn't really know what my capabilities were. So I wanted to dream big, which is totally fine and perfectly great. But I think having realistic goals and the timeline of them is more what I think a lot of artists need to start thinking about. So unrealistic goals for me, I would say painting an oil painting that's like a meter by meter every single week. I'm sure there are some artists out there that could probably do that, and congrats to you. You're a powerhouse if you can. But for us mere mortals, that to me just sounds like a recipe for burnout. I really want to encourage on this channel to, again, completely dismantle and accept that burning out is a symptom that we are all constantly falling into. And I want to dispel all of that and make sure we're not falling into habits of burning out. So set some realistic goals. Start timing yourself about when you start painting to really see how long it takes you to make something. When it comes to goal setting, start thinking about really tight goals rather than a lot of goals. So quality goals over quantity. My goal were to do anything except for the tarot card project. I think that would be unrealistic, to be quite frank. When it comes to setting goals, I would say for a yearly goal, really have 3 big things that you want to accomplish. The rest of it, let's just chill. I think we need to seriously stop this romanticization of working and grinding really, really hard. It's unrealistic. Start doing reflective exercises. I think we get really busy in the hustle and bustle of life that we forget to slow down and ruminate on the successes and the not so successful things. Start getting in the habit, especially for artists. Something that I like to do is when I finish a piece, I like to sit back, maybe write 1 or 2 lines about some things that were successful and some things that weren't successful. You can just write those in your phone in the notes section, or you could write a little note in your sketchbook diary. I don't necessarily find that these are helpful in terms of rereading them. Maybe for you they might be. I know for me, I don't really reread them. It's more the actual physical act of writing it and then seeing it really helps you think and ruminate a little bit further on the successes and then things that you could potentially grow upon in the future. I really think reflective exercises are actually essential. It really helps you be appreciative of where you've come from, where you've grown. Also, it helps you remember what to fix in the future. Reflective exercises. Okay, so I want to chat to you guys about a couple of bonus tips that I am going to start implementing in my year going forward. I'm going to limit my use of social media. This is very scary for me because I think, especially when you're an artist and your main marketing strategy is social media, it becomes very, very scary to think that you're going to be missing out on that client or missing out on letting somebody know that the link for the shop is over here, or letting somebody know about your Patreon, etc. In the end, you kind of don't use it that much for business, and a lot of it is mostly for, let's face it, procrastination. When you start to limit your time, you're actually incredibly productive because you don't have time to like mess about. I'm going to limit my social media time to 2 to 3 hours a day. Even that sounds insane, but my daily use is a lot more than that. So I'm going to, start limiting my social media use. I think this is going to really help with the point number 2, stop comparing yourself. And then also it helps me stick with my plan and keep to it in the timeline that I've made for myself. It helps me balance everything out a lot further because I'm being a lot more productive in the hours that I need to be productive in. I just think less social media is the key. Lastly, my other bonus tip is when you have momentum, keep going. It's very hard, I find, when you start making art, it's very hard to start. Once you're in the groove, it's a lot easier to keep going. So just like with point number 1, make a plan and stick to it. If you've blocked out some time to just make art, then you have to have a little bit of discipline and really just stick to it. And once you start, have that momentum and you're actually really excited to keep going. An example is when I finish a piece, I'm excited to start the next one because I'm kind of riding the high of completing something. So I will often start something new when I finish something because I'm feeling good. I've had a little win. If you've got the momentum, keep to it, but don't burn yourself out. Promise? Okay. All right, my loves, we are done with this week's video. If any of those were helpful, please let me know below which one you think may be helpful going forward, which one you think you may utilize. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask them below. I'll pick one and answer that next week. By the way, if you back to the Kickstarter in December/November, there is an update on Kickstarter letting you know the timeline of when you will get your rewards. And anybody who's new here, there will be a physical tarot deck that is coming this year. You will be getting that deck in your hands this year. Isn't that exciting? So make sure you stick by. Very excited for it. If you found any of these helpful, consider becoming a patron. Every month I do a call out to my patrons where they send in an art career or general art practice question, or you can submit an artwork that you will get feedback on. And in response, every month I give you an email with lots of actionable tips, some encouragement to keep you flowing in your journey, and also extra resources to help you on your journey as well. And then I also give you a video response too. I've got hours worth of videos already filled with lots of tips, lots of actionable advice to help you on your art journeys. For $10 a month, consider becoming a patron for all that custom advice goodness. I will see you guys in the next video. Almost at 30K, so make sure to subscribe down below. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.